जी, सभी को नमस्कार। आप सभी को शक्ति की राष्ट्रीय मंच के इस व्याख्यानमाला में आप सभी का बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है। हमारे बीच में शक्ति के सदस्य, शक्ति के बाहर के सदस्य, बहुत सारे शोधार्थी, ऐसे बहुत सारे मौजूद हैं। आप सभी का इस शक्ति के राष्ट्रीय मंच के व्याख्यानमाला कार्यक्रम में बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है। जैसा कि आप सभी जानते हैं कि शक्ति समाज में शिक्षा और संस्कृति के क्षेत्र में हमारी महिलाओं के द्वारा, हम सभी महिलाओं के द्वारा एक विज्ञान की सोच के माध्यम से अनेक कार्य कर रही है और उसी कार्य की कड़ी में आज की व्याख्यानमाला है। इस व्याख्यान में हम हफ्ते के हर शनिवार में एक विशेषज्ञ के द्वारा व्याख्यान रखते हैं और आज इसी व्याख्यान के इस कड़ी में हमारे बीच से हमारे महाराष्ट्र से महिला शक्ति की अध्यक्षा प्रोफेसर संगीता काली जी है। आज के उनका व्याख्यान का विषय है अप्लाइड रिसर्च पिट्स एंड पॉक्स आफ्टर जर्नी, मतलब व्यवहारिक शोध के क्षेत्र में हमारी क्या हमें दिक्कतें आती हैं और हम उनको किस तरह से अपने अनुभव से दूर करते हैं। शक्ति की एक सांस्कृतिक परंपरा का निर्वहन करते हुए हम अपने कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत प्रार्थना से करते हैं। मैं पुनः आप सभी का इस मंच से शक्ति के जो अखिल भारतीय पदाधिकारी हैं, अध्यक्षा है, राष्ट्रीय सचिव है, महासचिव है, इस कार्यक्रम के जो है सबका पुनः स्वागत करती हूँ और प्रार्थना पूर्णमदा पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वं यत्किञ्चिदं जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीथा वाकृथा कस्य स्वेत्तनं वेद्यां च वेद्यां च यस्तदेतो भयं सः अविद्यायां मृत्युं तीर्त्वा वेद्यामृतमश्नुते। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखात् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
संस्थेची असेल
जी, आप सभी का
ट्रेनकडे पण बघू नको
स्वागत करते हैं और स्वागत इसके बाद हम अपने कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत करते हैं। कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत में
पण लाइट्स असतात
डॉक्टर संगीता काली जी का एक पूर्ण परिचय कराने की कोशिश करते हैं। हालांकि उनसे बात करने पे लगा कि बहुत सहज और सरल व्यक्तित्व की नदी है और यही उनके व्यक्तित्व की बहुत बड़ी विशेषता है। लेकिन उनके साथ ही प्रोफेसर संगीता काली, डीन एकेडमिक्स, Professor, Department of Applied Physics, DIT, RDO Ministry, India. She has completed her doctoral studies in material science from University of Delhi, postdoctoral studies from University of USA. She has been a visiting scientist at International Center for Theoretical Physics since 2006 at Trustee, Delhi. She has more distinguished positions like officiating Vice Chancellor, Dean, and Head of the Department of Applied Physics at the same university. It is research field works on nanomaterials for their sensing and biomedical applications, typically pertaining to defense research. She has been decorated with funded projects from national agencies like DST, DPT, UGC, DAE, ISRO, and DRT. She has been an integral part of Indo-French and Indo-German overseas collaborations, actively involved in setting up MOUs with foreign investors. has 30
अगं
plus
इंट्रोडक्शन चालू आहे आता तिथे स्टार्ट
teaching
होईल.
research experience. Yes, roughly. And 115 PhDs. So Nishita, she has been in Indian National Science Secretary's Award, and she is a very good in all approaches of her. Now I request Professor Sangeeta Khanji, please continue her lecture on applied research, feeds and works of journal.
Thank you, Dr. Smita Sharma. Thank you for the introduction and good evening to everybody. Firstly, I would just like to say that I need to thank Dr. Leena Bavdekar ji and also Dr. Jayan Sahasrabudhe for having faith in me and giving me this responsibility to work as a president of Sharda Shakti, which is a Maharashtra unit of National Shakti. So thank you for giving me this particular platform. And today I'll basically talk on applied research. What are the pits and what are the perks of this particular journey? So the idea of this particular talk is to share the experience of mine, which is of around 25 years or so, and highlight on how the journey looks like, what are the positive things about the journey, and so-called what are the pits of it or what are the negative aspects of it. I will also talk a little bit on the new government policies which have recently come up in the recent times and how they would benefit us as a researcher, as a scientist, or even as a professor of a particular university. So I'll just start this particular journey. So, well, friends, basically I'm a researcher in the domain of physics, and I do my research in the domain of nanotechnology, nanomaterials, and I explore them for different applications. As I go through, I'll just quickly also keep on covering as to what exactly I do in this particular domain. Basically, my job is to serve with some particular kind of innovations which are useful for the Army, Navy, and Air Force people, which we call as tri-services or service officers. We also do some work for the Defense Research and Development Organization, that is DRDO, to cater to their research activities and help India develop some particular products which are in the category of Atmanirbhar. And we also work for the civilians. We develop some products which would be useful for the civilian crowd as well. As we go on this particular journey, and there would be some students also in this particular participation list. I would like to say that research is always looked like those people, or scientists are always looked like those people who sit in ivory tower and they keep on doing their own work, and mostly I've heard people say that they do not contribute much to the industry and the economy of the country. And let me just try to evaluate this particular sentence in this entire time of around 30 minutes or so. And is it really true that we all sit in ivory towers? How good or bad is this kind of a statement is? So I have divided my particular talk in around 8 to 10 points, and each and every point will bring us closer, and we try to answer this particular question at the end. So let's think that what would a researcher have? Okay, so let's try to find out that how do you know that you want to be a professor of a particular university, or you want to be a scientist, or you want to be a researcher? How would you really know this? So this is something that one would know by just looking into the ability of ours to have a kind of imagination, or are we inquisitive enough to explore the things which are happening around. Are we able to have some kind of creativity amongst ourselves? If the answer is yes, then actually I would definitely say that one is suitable to become a professor or a scientist in a particular organization, or explore research even in an industry for that matter. So the first point that I want to drive is that brilliance or high intellect is actually not a necessity. It's not necessary to be a very intellectual person, so to become a researcher or to become a scientist. The basic quality that one should have is that one should be able to have good amount of creativity and inquisitiveness. If that's there, then you are most eligible to become a good researcher or a good scientist. Uh, I would like to explain this particular point by using my own example. I was not a very meritorious student during my school time. I was not a very bright student in the top five or anything like that. But I always had this inquisitiveness in my mind. I used to write small articles in a small diary. Whenever I used to find something, I've written small notes on kaleidoscope. How does it work? How does it generate multiple colors? Such and such small things I used to do. Transistor, how does it work? And so on and so forth. So I was always having that particular ability to have some kind of inquisitiveness, but I wasn't brilliant, to be very fair to all the crowd here. Uh, then the second thing is that I wanted to become an engineer. When I completed my high school, I always thought that I had this particular bent of becoming an engineer, but I couldn't become an engineer due to several reasons. One of the major reasons was that being a lady, I need not be an engineer was the kind of an attitude during that particular time. Later on, when I completed my bachelor's and master's, I had got a wonderful opportunity to work in IIT Bombay. I had got an opportunity to do my PhD and also along with the complete fellowship and also work as an RA and do my research in IIT Bombay. Again, the same reason I couldn't attend IIT Bombay. Actually, I went there, put my bag and baggage, and then I had to come back. My parents said that it's a good idea to stay back in Pune and do a job here and also try to get into kind of a research. So, but luckily, when I came back to Pune, I got an extremely good group in Pune University. Pune University, as everybody in the country knows, is one of the finest universities. And during that time, physics department was supposed to be extremely good. So I got a very good opportunity with good accommodation and invitation of the colleagues of mine. I got enrolled myself in the PhD program and also got a job in Ferguson College, which is one of the top colleges in the country. But we have to always remember that it's a very good place. However, it's a teaching place. It's an undergraduate place, and then a graduate place, and it has got limited emphasis on research. But nonetheless, I had a job and I had a PhD program with me, and I started my journey. And this was at the age of around 22 to 25 years of age. So, but that and then one cannot forget the point that I did lose the opportunity of joining IIT Bombay. But the point is that again, point number one that I wanted to emphasize is brilliance is not necessary. The second point that I want to drive in this particular talk is this that taking chances and grabbing opportunities is extremely important. It's important, I think, right from the point when you start your career, it's very important to grab the opportunities. Whatever you get, you have to take those chances and you have to take those career decisions. Again, I'll give you an example that when I completed my PhD, my daughter was around. I have a lovely daughter, by the way. She was around 6 years old, and I got an opportunity to do my postdoc at University of Maryland at College Park, which is in the US. This was a very good opportunity because University of Maryland and the Department of Physics then was among the top five in the world. And it was not an easy decision for me because the daughter was very small and I had family commitments also. But then I took that opportunity and I was there for 3 years in this particular place and worked as a postdoc in the area of superconductivity, spintronics, and magnetoelectronics. So these were the areas in which I work. These were brilliant areas. I should say the area of research was evolving then in this particular domain. And while I was working there, I learned a lot of things. So why I'm telling all these things is not because I did a great job, but I learned a lot during this time. And the first thing that I learned is this that most of the countries other than India during that time, the things have changed now. But during that time, this was in 2000 to 2003, that was the time period when I did my postdoc. During this time, I realized that there was a lot of big presence of companies on the university campus. So I was working on a project which was funded by NASA. So I was working on a NASA project. But along with me, I could see that there were a huge number of projects which were sponsored by companies like Intel, Boeing, HP, Bosch, and so on. So all these companies had a virtual presence in the university setup. This is a very big point and an important point. I'll touch upon this particular point also at the later stage of the talk. But what I want to say is that the problems which were done at the research level in these universities were already industry driven. Also, there's a big difference there, and we'll come to this particular difference again. Uh, during the similar time, I also got an opportunity to work with International Center for Theoretical Physics, which is in Italy, in a lovely place called Trieste. This is a university. I mean, it's not a university; it's an institute, which is a UNESCO's place. It is funded by UNESCO and the Italian government, and it's a lovely place for theoretical physics. And here I had an access of worldwide library of literature. It is a theoretical physics domain, and I could really connect to the theoretical aspects of physics. Uh, these affiliations have remained with me for a very long time. So as of now, also I work as a visiting scientist of ICTP, and it's a big privilege for me because it's a place where most of the scientists from all around the globe come and spend some time there. Mostly they come in the vacation time when they do not have university schedules going on. The thing that I learned also in this part of the journey is this, that external exposure is very important for a researcher. For a scientist, it's important that one is able to go to different places, see the culture of research in different areas of the world, and try to learn and bring back things to your own country. This particular aspect is important, and hence I always tell the younger generation that whenever you get an opportunity to go abroad and try to do some studies there, spend some time, do some good research, publish some good papers, it's very important to do that because no, it's not only about the academia, it's also about the extracurricular things. You tend to understand what is the way in which students think of different backgrounds, and that helps to develop your personality. So traveling is very important. Other than the other perks of travel, mostly for the academia part also, traveling is very important. So that's the point number 2. Point number 3 is also is this, that you have to have your own research group. So as a researcher, the one of the perks, I could say, of research is this: you can form your own group, which is not true with a corporate world, which is not true if you even if you have your own enterprise. It's true when you become a researcher, when you become a scientist, when you become a professor. It's possible that you start your own research group. So I'll again give example of my own journey. So as I came back from the United States, and when I tried to settle myself back to the place where I from where I had gone after my PhD completion, and that was Ferguson College. Trust me, it was not easy. It was difficult because not only because I had come back to the country where the research infrastructure was extremely poor. I'd come back from a place which was in the top 5 of the world, back into a place which does not have much emphasis on research. Ferguson College is a great place, however, it doesn't have much emphasis on research. And during that time, it was definitely like that. And I would like to share one story of mine. So what did I do? So in order to overcome this particular problem of trying to cope up with the change and not being able to do the kind of work, so-called a high-tech work, which I did it back in the Maryland. I tried to again go back to the University of Pune and try to work along with a few groups there. And then I realized that this is not the way, because I cannot work as a secondary researcher and try to improve and improvise my own research skills. It doesn't make any sense. So I just spoke with some of the Ferguson College authorities, which is a part of Deccan Education Society. And as I spoke to them, so friends, I want to say this, that I got funding. It looks very funny now, but it's important to tell. So I got a funding of only 10,000 rupees. Okay, only 10,000 rupees. They gave me a funding. And in the lab, the department where I used to work, there was a storeroom. And they said that this is a storeroom, you can use it, you can empty the place, and you can make a lab over there. So let us all remember this. This was in 2005, if I'm not wrong. 2005, I got a funding of 10,000 rupees and a storeroom to start my research work. This was not an easy time for me. And I'm sure all of us, all those who are attending this meeting, I'm sure everybody has gone through this. Those who are senior researchers. And I had some mentors and I had some friends, and they said, one of them said to me that, aha, you got 10,000 rupees funding. I would spend that much amount in single party. When I go to a restaurant, I would spend 10,000 rupees. So I would never forget this statement because it was very harsh. And but then there was no option. So I started in that small room. My small research activity. I took a small furnace and some equipment which would help me do some synthesis over there. And I took some master students with me, and there were extremely good colleagues with me. They were very senior to me, but they were with me. They were like shoulders which would help me in this situation because I was very junior then. And they helped me with identifying that how to lay out, how to have master students do project with me, and so on and so forth. And with this 10,000 rupees, I bought something and we started something. We started some synthesis, and I realized that I couldn't do work with spintronics and magnetoelectronics. It was very intensive in terms of equipment. So what I did is I tried to move the gears, shifted the gears, and I started making something which was a beaker chemistry. It was easy because a little bit of beaker chemistry was easy to get. So I started with that. And then we wrote a project, and I wrote a project to University Grant Commission, ISRO, and DST, and things like that. So the thing started rolling then. And I'm happy to tell this also then that after around 1 to 1.5 years, I had a total funding of around 80 to 90 lakhs in that one single year. So that 10,000 rupees was a very good seed that helped me grow the funding to around 90 lakhs, which I got from Department of Science and Technology, also from ISRO. So ISRO helped me a lot in my initial career and gave me extremely good funding for the projects that I did. And DST was a boon. Department of Science and Technology was a boon for me. They were extremely good mentors. They still are. So Department of Science and Technology, I would like to state here that they have extremely good mentors. And one mentoring I would like to share with all of you here is this, that I went there for the first project, it was under SCRB. The SCRB board exists as of now as well. And I'll not give all the names of the people there, but the committee over there, I had written the project and I had put myself at the back foot. I had put myself as a co-investigator and I had put a good name as an investigator, thinking that I would get easily a project if that name comes there. And when I went there when I went over there to defend my project, I was told that you don't need people to become principal investigator when you put your own efforts over there. So you should not be doing that. Put your own name and you'll get the project. And these are the kind of mentors that one requires in their own career. And after that, actually, there was no looking back because I got the project. I got a lot of big confidence also, and the project started rolling. So I could really get good project. Then in 2010, this is the next point that I want to drive. So the point that I wanted to drive in this particular discussion was that irrespective of anything, for a researcher, it's important to make an independent mark. It's very important to have your own identity and an independent mark. In 2010, I left Pune, I mean Ferguson College, and I got this opportunity in Defense Institute of Advanced Technology. It's a lovely place. It's a lovely university, and it has got an emphasis of defense oriented research. This I feel that this is the time, and it comes in everybody's career, that once you come to a particular stage, you come to a situation where you intend to give back to the society. So whatever you have learned from the society, it's important to give it back to the society. And I think in 2010, I got this opportunity. I didn't understand during that time, but now if I look back, I feel that yes, that was a time when I entered into this organization, which is supported by Ministry of Defense. And it's a place where, the tri-services people come and do their further studies. These are the people who are extremely good, they're extremely intelligent, Army, Navy, Air Force people, officers. They are very good, they are very, very focused. There's a joke in our institute that you tell a service officer that there's a big area outside the window which is full of lot of habitat, and you just say that I want to make a playground over there. Can you do that in a month? And they'll do that. So they are so efficient. They are very single-minded, and they are a boon to any researcher who is working in the institution. Along with them, we also have DRDO scientists. So DRDO scientists come with a mandate. They also come with a mandate, and they come from a research lab where they're supposed to develop some technologies. So in this way, as you start interacting with them, the best thing that I learned in this particular organization, and it's important for every researcher, is this, that you become a student with a student, and you grow with the student as a student grows. And this happens with even a civilian student, and it happens also with a service officer, because they come with their own wisdom, and they teach you a lot. So with them, I wrote a big project, and this project was basically to develop some technologies for DRDO. These included propellant material, explosive materials, developing of sensors for chemical and biological warfare diagnostics, radar applications, stealth applications. So we were supposed to develop these technologies, and I worked as a principal investigator on this particular project, which was supported by DRDO, of course. And we had to prepare for it for 2 years or so, and finally we got the project. And when we got this project, it was of the order of 43 crores. So it was a huge project that I got in 2012. And as this project ran for around 5-6 years, we developed excellent technologies which were used for nanosensors. So we developed technologies for DRD, Gwalior, and Debel in Bangalore, and so on and so forth. So this particular part of journey taught me that it's important for us to do applied research. That is why in the topic also I said not research but applied research. It's very important to do applied research, so that it goes somewhere and it is useful for somebody in the country. So what next? So once you start doing good research and developing technologies, what do you do next? So I would like to put some points here. I would like to put some points here that the research has to be always interdisciplinary. This is the time of interdisciplinary research. One cannot do research by sitting in one room and sitting in that ivory tower. Nothing happens over there. So it's important to talk to people. It is important to talk to industry people, and
आपल्याला झगडावं लागतं तसं त्या लोकांना
Please mute.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. No, I heard some noise in between. That's right. Okay. So interdisciplinary research is very important. Industry funded projects is very important. So let me come back to the first point that I mentioned there. During this time, funded by the research institutes such as Department of Science and Technology, such as MHRD, UGC, ISRO, DAE, Department of Atomic Energy, and so on and so forth, DRDO. Now the trend is changing, and that is a very, very good trend, which I saw way back in 2002, 2003, back in the country like US. So that trend I can see coming here now, where you have lot of industries showing their own interest in the research which is being done in the country. And I think one can attribute it to the emphasis of the current government, such as Atmanirbhar Bharat, such as Make in India movement, and that particular part has involved or invited the industry people to talk to the researcher or talk to a scientist and get a technology developed. This is a very, very good time for a country like India, because we are able to do so much good work, which does not remain only as a paper, which does not remain only as a patent, but it also comes in the market and one can actually visually see a particular product coming out. This particular experience I had with the recent work that we did with and developed a product called Ananya, which was which was well popularized, I can say, by DRDO and the PIB news network. And this particular product, when it came as an innovation, it was taken up by a lot of industries. So this particular thing is new in our country, and I really appreciate the time that our country has come to. It's a very good time for not only for a researcher, for a lady researcher, for an entrepreneur, but it's also a very good time for all the students, because if you all know about the hackathon which goes on every year, there is such a good amount of student participation, and the problem statements are given by our Prime Minister Ji himself. So this particular part is new in the country, and it's a very good trend that one can see. It's rolling and it's coming up. So these are the things which go on in the domain of research, and what comes along with it as a parcel of it are the following things. So life of a researcher has got good amount of perks. Okay, pits are there, pitfalls are there. It's very frustrating that you go to a interview to a defending your project to a committee, and they say that no, your project is not good enough, and you've spent 6 7 months of tiring efforts you've put in there, and they say that your project is not good. You come back next year. It's very frustrating. Paper, whenever you write a research paper, it comes back at least 8 to 10 times, and it's horrible to say that every morning you see the email and you find your paper is not accepted. It's frustrating. So the journey is not very easy, but the journey is definitely exciting. And what are the perks then? Okay, so the life of a researcher has got so many good things to be shared. First and foremost is that you always live with the youngsters. It's a very important point. The students are always around you. The young crowd is always around us. The life in general is colorful. It's not black and white. Though we stay with service officers who are the men in uniform, I still feel that we have a lot of colors around, because the students are your pillars. They are your strength, and they are always around you. So the new trend in the new fashion in the country, you'll know through your students, which otherwise doesn't happen for example, in a corporate world. So that's there. Social connect is very good, because like we all are talking today. Okay, so if I had my own enterprise, or if I work in a corporate world, I will not have this kind of a good social connect. That's a boon, it's a perk which we get out of this academia or being a scientist. It's a very, very big thing. Next thing is that life is never a routine. You don't have a routine which normal person will have. We don't have this. It's a beautiful day every day. Something new always keeps on happening. The high of research is really very high. So it's good to be in research. There's immense amount of satisfaction when you see a smile on the face of a student when his first paper comes out, that's $1 million. So that's a big perk that one gets out of this particular profession. Then, of course, the way in which in the recent time mentioning, there are good policies which are coming up through the government, such as the STEP program that we all know. Then the national education policy, which is just recently declared by the government, has got good perks for the researchers. There's a good way in which international universities would come to us, and so on and so forth. There are programs like Sakhi, Mahila E-Heart is there. Then Atmanirbhar Bharat, of course, I told you, Make in India policies are there. So these give us good, what do you say, incentive to do good research. So it's a good time for a researcher in the current times. Last 2 points most that I want to say is for the parents and for the students. So I have a different view on parents and parenting in general. I would want to say you hear so many TED talks also, and people say that leave the children on their own, and they will find out their path, and they will do exactly what they like and what they like to do. But it's not true, according to me. It's my personal view. At the age of around 20 to 22, 23, 24, 25, the kids they don't know much. When they complete their graduation, they need a focus. And interestingly, this is the age at which you have lot of other temptations also, and these are extremely important career handling years. So there is a fine balance between these two things, and I think as a parent, it's important to do this job. This job has to be done by a parent. It cannot be left on the kid that you decide what you want to do. That's not true. This is my personal view. It's important for a parent to take that particular step, go that one step ahead, because if you motivate the children get motivated accordingly. And if you leave them, then there are many things going around. At that particular age, there are many other temptations. So it's important that the parents do the job of parenting till they really become, in their own way, Atmanirbhar. So that's the way. Students should pursue the career where they like to do that. And these days, as I see in the entire globe, whatever you want to do, you have a market for that. Okay, everything has got its own recognition. So even if you like literature, even if you like arts, even if you like something like architecture, anything, whatever you want to do, one can definitely do, because there are good options around. One need not always be an engineer or a doctor for that. This is something that I also wanted to share. And finally, I want to say something which is which has come up from my mentor actually. While we were talking once very recently, we just did a fine small calculation, and we found out that if a human being lives for, let's say, till the age of 80, okay, 80 is a safe number to assume, then the number of days that a human being gets to live in this life are around not more than 30,000. Okay, 30,000 are the days that a normal human being would get to do in their life. It's not much. And in that, one third of the journey goes in your childhood, where the things are not in your control, and and the latter part of your journey is also not in your control. Let's say after 70 years of age, you are not able to do much. So the small time in between is of the order of around 20,000 days. So 20,000 days is not much, right? In these days, you have to prove yourself, and you have to do something good and be a good human in the society. For that, every day is precious. So every day has to be used in a wise way, so that one is able to do something, and one is able to aspire for something which will be worthwhile, and you will be remembered in a good way for a long time in this particular world. So what would one do? One has to do something which will be exciting for you as well as to the society. do something which will also help your health to be remaining good. So you can do some good exercises, you can pursue some good hobbies, do some good writing. As a researcher, I definitely would want to finally conclude by saying that being a researcher is an exciting journey, and there are some good things about it, some bad things about it. But basically, the career is an aspiring career. One should always choose this particular career if we have that particular bent of mind. And finally, the idea is to be basically wise in taking a decision. And once it is taken, it's a wonderful journey that one can look ahead to, and that's it. So basically, thank you for this particular question, and sorry for the interruption in between. Thanks a lot, and Jai Hind.
Thanks a lot, Sangeeta Palaji. We have shared a wonderful experience. I think all of
Thank
us enjoyed and all of learned a lot experience from you. So,
thank you.
sorry for inconveniencing between your talk because it was for only 15 minutes. So, let us do
Yeah.
it.
I could. Yeah, I could realize that 50 minutes हो गए तो वो बंद हो गया. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Now, I request anybody if somebody want questions. If you all have any questions, please ask.
Hello,
Sangeeta
may I
Palaji.
talk?
Yeah.
May I speak?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Sangeeta ji. Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah.
It's a nice talk and wonderful talk about the how new researchers can come into the research field and and your experiences, your journey in research, how from 10,000 to the 43 crore. That journey is motivating to the youngsters because a lot of the lecturers and young faculty members are also joining this your webinar, your speech, and this work in your work, how you feel, uh, with a 6 year old, because in the ladies the kids are always a problem for taking care of them, and laws will do or parents or husband will do. So what pitfalls you find during this research work at the US level?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and
Yeah.
it's an I'll tell you, it's an emotional question also, because it's very
Yeah, because we all are ladies. Yeah.
correct. Yeah. So actually, to be very frank with you, when I first went to the US, when my daughter was not even 6 years old, she was 5.5. It was very painful, but luckily I have a very good family support. So my in-laws were very supportive. My parents are also within the city, and I have a very well adjusting daughter, I should say. She coped up with it, and my husband took good care of her. But it is painful. It is not a very easy thing to do. Uh, but as I go back and visit it, I feel that it's important to do that. It's important to take the decision, because inherently the child is also observing all this. While we are doing these things, the child is also observing, and the child also inculcates that kind of a habit, that kind of aspiration. So it's a positive thing, but it's painful. So it's like it's a package deal kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your daughter was in India at that time?
Yeah. She was in
Yeah,
India.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's very tough time
Yeah.
for
It
you
was
and daughter both.
both.
Yeah, both.
It was very,
Yeah.
yeah. And now it's
Okay.
opposite. Now I'm in this country and she is in the US. But she's grown up now, so it's okay.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. It's a motivating how the ladies should come up, because my experience is also there. कि ladies are not opting for the leadership qualities. They have a qualities, but they are not opting because of the kids. So this is a good motivating area. The ladies, with support of the in-laws and the husband, they should come up. They should take this responsibility also, because we are the 50%, they should come up. So your role models is very important
Thank you.
for
Thanks
them.
a lot.
So
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Any more questions? Any more questions? Now I think everybody experienced a lot. So there is no questions in your mind. So now
No.
हमारे इस संगठन के सांस्कृतिक परंपरा के अनुसार मैं डॉक्टर वर्षा कप्पादा जी से निवेदन करूंगी कि वो हमारी शांति मंत्र का पाठ करें।
जी स्मिता जी। ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Okay, Smita ji, thanks a lot for this opportunity, and it was wonderful to meet all of you. It was a pleasure talking to all of you.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta ji. You came here and you are also Shakti member. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, team of us. So we have this much opportunity to listen from you, and we will motivate all the. Now, highest number of the participants in this webinar is 100, more than 100. I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, and a lot of persons are in a queue. They are not getting the chance.
Oh, really?
So
So
now they entered. Now they entered so many. So it's a huge number. So
yeah.
thank you so much. Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay then. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye bye.